can have a seat. And through the journey of parenthood, you learn so many incredible lessons. It's a really exciting season for us as a band. Those of you who are familiar with The Color, maybe you already know this, but there's kind of one word that truly does describe the season of life that a lot of us are in, and that is babies. And we got a good friend, Manuel, here filling in tonight, and on this entire tour, actually, because Larry, our normal lead guitar player, he and his wife just welcomed their little boy, Emery Wells, just a couple months ago. Yeah, that's what we're celebrating. Woo! Go! And so, you know what, we believe that there needs to be flexibility. We love to do what we do here, but it was such an important season for them to be at home together, and so that's what he's doing. And it was great to be able to have that just a year and a bit ago. And what was so exciting was having this group of people around me that believed in what we were doing, and they were able to support me. I just got to tell you that being a dad was really extra special because I got to do it right alongside of my best friend. I want to invite James forward. Say hi, James. And you know what? I'm a believer I believe that pictures just really help drive the point home. So I just want to take a moment to dad brag, and I want to introduce you to my family, okay? Take a look on the screen. That's my little girl. Yeah. Thank you. There's the curls. And you know what? She was born on January 18th, and it's so bizarre, and maybe this has happened to you. I doubt it. But James's wife, they were expecting around the same time, but it was supposed to be a few weeks later. But on January 18th of 2018, when my wife was in the hospital going into labor, James's wife was as well.
The very same day.
The same day, isn't that crazy? And you know what? 5 days later, on January the 23rd, James and his wife Brandy welcomed their little boy, Bear William Shields.
Maybe a lot younger than me, but our kids are the same size. Look at that. It was funny when he told them that 5 days later we had our boy. It was like everyone who wasn't a mom was like, yeah, and everyone who was a mom was like, oh no. We're okay. You know, kids are such a precious thing. It was crazy. Yeah, our kids were supposed to be like almost 2 months apart, and they're 5 days apart. It's such a cool thing. But because Bear came so early, we ended up spending almost a month in the hospital. And I remember in the NICU, Bear was in this little incubator kind of thing. And I remember getting to go and take him out for the first time. And I remember holding him, and I didn't realize that there was actually a curtain that we could pull around us, have some privacy. I was in the most vulnerable state, but it didn't matter. And I held Bear, and God told me 2 incredible things in that moment. The first thing he told me, he said, James, this is how I love my children. And I understood it in a whole different way, because there was nothing that Bear could do that would take my love away from him. God actually loves every one of us, not because of who we are, but because of who He is. He is a God of love. And that means that there's nothing that you can do that will take you outside of His love. Bear he's like a year and 3 months now. And there are so many nights he tried to take my love away from him. But it didn't work like that. But the second thing that God told me, He said, James, this is how I love all my children. And I looked around the room and I saw all these babies in their own little incubators. And I'm like, there's no way they could be as precious as mine, right? But they are. Like, it actually helped me understand how precious every child is. And then God said, no, not just in this room. All across the world. And me having my own child forced me to think about the fact that there are other children out there, and in their situations, their family or the people around them don't have enough to provide for them. And that kills me in a whole different way right now. And something incredible happened. It was such an eye-opener, because this past spring, The Color, we went to India. We went there to see what the situation of a bunch of children actually is, like to experience that for ourselves. And something crazy happened, because we found out, so we met this girl, her name's Joanita. Beautiful, beautiful girl. You're gonna be able to see her on the screen here. And we found out that 7 years before we met her, she was on her deathbed. And her parents didn't realize, or they didn't know every single morning that she was gonna wake up. I can't imagine what that's like. Look at that girl. And then do you know what happened? A family from Lethbridge, Alberta. Lethbridge, Alberta. Red Deer. Red Deer?
It's Lethbridge.
It was Lethbridge. Lethbridge, Alberta. 7 years prior to us meeting Joy and Nita, they were in their living room and they read Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17, and it says, take care of the widows and plead the case of the fatherless. And they read it and they said, okay, this is actually a command. This is a command because God has given enough for all, but he hasn't given all enough. So if you do the math there, those of us who have more have to be able to do something for that equation to work. And they said, let's sponsor a kid. And 7 years later, we met her. And when Joy Nina was on her deathbed, when that family sponsored her, one day, some World Vision staff walked into their house, their little shack, and they said, Joy Nina, you just got sponsored. And in 3 months, they found out that she was severely malnourished, and in 3 months, they brought her from the point of on her deathbed to thriving. She is a strong, young, active girl now, because there was a family who answered a call, who said, we have more than they do, so there's something we got to do about it. And now this girl has a hope, and she has a future. When we got home, we literally got on the next plane, and we flew to Lethbridge, and we sat in their living room where they read Isaiah 1, verse 17, and we said, you'll have no idea what you did. And they did it. It's like they had no idea what they did. That's the same thing you can do tonight.
It's absolutely incredible. And you know what? The night before we flew to India, I was in the backyard at my home, and I was just getting things ready, and I was watering our flowers, as every good husband should do. And I had this moment where I heard something from the front yard, and honestly, what I thought in that moment was that something had been hit by a car. And so I ran to the front, and I saw my wife just frantic and screaming at the top of her lungs, because my daughter in that moment had stopped breathing. Just lifeless. Color gone. 10 seconds until she took a breath and came back, and she didn't know what was happening, and we just sat down on the couch in our living room, and we were just shaking. And in that moment, we didn't know what to do, and we felt so incredibly helpless. And then we got on this plane, and we flew across the world to this family. We're not talking about 10 seconds, but we're talking about days and weeks and months of feeling so helpless, not knowing what to do, watching their daughter die before their eyes. And honestly, if you had been there with me on that day and you would have seen this happening to my girl, I would have expected you to do something. I would have expected you to help me.
The great thing is that we can do something. We actually can do something for $40 a month. You can take a little child who doesn't have a hope, and who won't have a hope unless someone who has more than them decides to help them. For $40 a month, you can give them a chance.
So we want to invite you to do that tonight. It's really simple. We want to invite you to be a part of our team, and we're going to get the house lights up just a little bit. I'm going to invite Tyson and our World Vision volunteers to come forward. They have these nice orange aprons on. They stand out like crazy. And what they have in their hands is 15 children that need a chance tonight, and you're going to see those 15 children on the screen right here. And they have a name, and they have a birthday, and a lot of them have parents and siblings. I want to introduce you right now to Dinson, whose birthday is on January the 24th, and he's 9 years old. And he helps at home by caring for animals. He's in grade 3, currently enrolled in primary school, and his favorite subject is math. He likes to play with balls, and he's in good health. And tonight, you can be the catalyst for change in Dinson's life. And in just a moment, I'm going to give you an opportunity to put up your hand. But before we do that, I just want you to take a moment. I want you to close your eyes with me. And we're going to take 10 seconds. In 10 seconds, a life can be taken. And tonight, in 10 seconds, life can be restored and hope renewed. Let's take 10 seconds right now.
If you'd like to sponsor a child, I want you to just raise your hand. It's as simple as that. Raise your hand. One of our volunteers are going to find you. They're going to hand you a packet. You know, sometimes it feels like we've just kind of done enough. right? You ever felt that way? I sponsored a child. I give to this, I give to that, I give my time here, I give my money there. I have felt that way. And then I read through the gospel and I realize that Jesus never felt that way. And I'm so thankful for that. Maybe you have a sponsored child already, but you want to get one for each of your grandkids or each one of your children so that these children can grow up seeing how the people, the mentors, the people leading them in their lives understand that living selflessly is an important thing. And sometimes I just think that we don't fully grasp what the disparity is. I remember when we walked up a mountain so far to the point where some people in our group couldn't actually keep going. And we rallied together carrying some of them because it was so far up the mountain. That's how far some of these kids have to live so that they don't get evicted because they can't own land. So they go to where no one else would be able to get to them. And we met his brother and sister, these orphans. They had no more family left. The girl was 14, her brother was 17. And I remember we walked into their house and they had one potato. And I was just like, this math doesn't add up, right? My wife and I, we asked ourselves two questions. When it comes to sponsoring children, there's a rule in our home. Question number one, are we going to notice it? And if we're not going to notice $40 a month coming out of our bank account, then our response to sponsoring a kid is always yes, and it's left more sponsored kids in our fridge than we would have ever anticipated. And then the second question, if we do say, you know what, yes, that we are going to notice it, the second question we ask is there somewhere we can live with a little bit less, so others can live with a little bit more? And we'd asked ourselves these questions, and we said, yeah, we were going to notice it because things are tight, because we're kind of starving musicians, so you guys all need to go back there and buy our merchandise, please. And then we left for India, and we got out there, and we met this little girl named Lakshmi. She's the saddest girl I've ever met in my life. She had not just like a sad face, I'm talking like hollow eyes. She didn't understand the concept of good things happening to her. And I said, I'm going to have to explain this to Brandy, my lovely wife, because we're going to sponsor her. And I had this little teddy bear, and I knelt down beside her, and I gave her this teddy bear. And with the translator beside me, I said, Lakshmi, every time you hold this teddy bear, I want you to know that there's a family on the other side of the world who's decided that they want to help you, that we want to love you. There can be some good things coming for you. And she didn't even respond. She didn't even lift her head up. And why should she? Just because I'm there? She had no reason to think that anything was ever going to change. And 3 weeks after we got home, her package came in the mail because we sponsored her, and with her picture, we got to put it up on the fridge. And she was just as sad there as the day that I met her. But my wife and I get to pray every single day that one day we're going to get another package in the mail, an update from Lakshmi. She's going to have a smile on her face. She's going to have hope in her eyes because there's people on the other side of the world who are willing to love on them.
Amen. Amen. You know what? Our goal tonight is 15. We still got some left. If you feel like this is something you can do, and it's 3 more?
3 more. That's amazing.
Yeah, 3 left. I just encourage you to put your hand out.
2 left. 1 left. This is the most exciting part of the tour every time.
1 child needs a home tonight. We got a hand right here, see it? Right there. Let's give a round of applause tonight. I speak this with honesty. It brings so much joy to our hearts because we've seen the change that it makes. And so we don't take it lightly. We take the time each night to talk about it, not because this is something we feel forced to do, but it's something we feel privileged to do. These kids don't have a voice of their own, and we get to be that for a moment, and you get to be the catalyst of change, so thank you for being a part of it. We know that so many in this room, before tonight, you sponsor children. We thank you for doing that. We thank you for the change that you're making. We're going to take a brief break, and during that time, there's something that needs to happen. Those of you who have one of these 15 kids, you're also going to have a pen in your hand. And we need you to take a moment to fill out some information. Your personal information, is some payment options. You're going to fill out that 3rd sheet, and what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that it gets to one of these volunteers in the orange aprons. It's so very important. You're going to take that child with you, and then after that, you're going to come back to our merchandise table, or to the World Vision table, actually, and we have just a small gift of our appreciation, a free CD from the color that we want to give you, just to say thanks. If you felt a little strange taking things from strangers in the dark, you're not alone. And I encourage you, if this is something that you know you want to do tonight, come to the table. We got so many kids that need your help. Thank you for the time. We got great music coming up with our good friend Dan Bremnes. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll see you soon. Thanks.
Okay, all right. For sure, are you going out too or get out?
What time is it?
Are you going out or intermission?